So what did you miss at Jubilee? Well, not today, but yesterday. I should apologize. I didn't post anything yesterday because I wasn't at Jubilee. And it's hard for me to tell you what you missed at Jubilee when I wasn't there. So I can tell you in broad terms what you missed was Reverend Ian Manson and musician Kelly Galbraith and four other terrific musicians telling the story of the prophet Ezekiel through the music of Johnny Cash. I can tell you missed some great music and some remarkable insight, and that's all I can tell you because I was at St. John's United Church yesterday. So I can tell you what you missed at St. John's. You missed my reminding the people of St. John's that we are excited about our amalgamation, that we are looking forward to them joining with Jubilee, but that we understand that right now, through the next month, they are grieving and they are celebrating a legacy, a ministry that's been important for a very long time. So after the doors are closed and celebrations have been had, then will be the time to wonder about coming to Jubilee. Yes, officially we'll be welcoming the folks from St. John's. They will be on our rolls as they choose to be, and we have been entrusted with their assets and with their ministry to the community, and we will spend the years growing that ministry, combining it with ours, and in that we will be changed and we will be blessed. And over time, the folks of St. John's will decide if they want to join us at Jubilee. And some will decide on July 1st. And some will decide in September, and some will decide after Thanksgiving, and some will wait until next year. Bit by bit, they will make their decision, and if they choose to be with us, we will be glad to have them. And if they find there's a better church home for them, one that's closer to where they live or just feels more like them, then we will also help them make that connection, because we're neighbors. We are family. And so we look forward to their coming to join us, but we also want to make sure that they are in the best place for themselves. And while I was there, besides carrying that message, it seemed appropriate to preach the Ascension, which is a story that only Luke tells. He tells it at the end of the gospel called Luke, and then the same fella tells that story again at the beginning of the next book, the book of Acts. And in this story, the disciples are there and they're questioning Jesus about what's happening next. They've been through the crucifixion, the resurrection. He's been with them a month and a half, and now will you restore Israel? He asks. And then Jesus is taken up into the air, it says, up into the clouds, and he is gone. And men in white, much like angels, say, "Why are you looking up? He will come back to you the way he is gone from you." It's a peculiar story. It was once, according to St. Augustine, the greatest celebration in the Christian year. It dwarfed Easter, Christmas. This was the one, the Ascension, Luke's story. And you got to wonder why Luke tells this fantastic, strange story that feels like some kind of UFO story. Well, we could have spent the morning discussing whether it happened or didn't happen, but I think it's more important to talk about why Luke tells it. So here's two things that I notice about the story that I shared with the folks at St. John's. Two things that I notice. Jesus goes up and away and beyond their reach, beyond their grasp, as if to say, now it's your turn. Jesus could have stuck around and provided all the answers, been the sole connection to God. But in his absence, the community has to begin to look to each other to solve and sort and act out together. But more than that, there were those in the Christian community that wanted to put Jesus on the cross because at the cross is the defining moment. And others would say, no, 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 we want to put him at the Mount because the Sermon on the Mount, that's the defining moment. And others said, no, 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 we need to put him outside the empty tomb because that resurrection is the defining moment. And we sometimes split ourselves into factions, each arguing about what is the most important part. And yet in the Ascension, it's as if Luke takes Jesus and lifts him out of the debate. Jesus is no longer tied to time and space. Jesus is no longer belonging to one faction or another. Jesus is in heaven. Jesus is everywhere. Jesus can't be held down by anybody. And that's tough when you know you have the right answer. To hear that Jesus is above your right answer. It's tough when you have figured it all out and you know that they're wrong. It's tough to imagine that Jesus is above all of that and that you don't get to contain the story or the faith. We thought about that. I also note that his body goes up. Not his soul, not his essence, his body. Which is a bit of a challenge for Paul, who often sees the body as a point of difficulty. It's our body that makes us sin. It's our body that is frail. It's our body that ties us to things unholy. And yet in the ascension, Jesus' body goes with him. And that says to me that Luke wants me to know that my body, that my humanity is fit for God. I don't have to leave behind my aches and pains and my frailty, my vulnerability, my humanity. I don't have to leave those behind to be one with God. At least these are some of the things that we considered. And I invite you to consider them at your leisure. What does the story mean? What does the story say to us? For me, it says that my humanity is meant to be with God. And it also says to me that I have no special claim to Jesus. I can't put him in a corner. I can't fit him into my church. He's beyond that. And so must my faith be. Anyway, so that's what you missed, and I apologize that I didn't post yesterday, but hopefully we get to be together at Jubilee next Sunday. Until I see you again, God bless.